Hey there, paper geeks and glitter nerds, it's Zinna the Crazy Geek Crafter. It's time for a graduation card, though it may seem a bit late in the season. It's not uncommon to host the graduation party into the summer, and this year it's even worse because there has been limits to how many people you can gather. Now I'll try not to nerd out too much over this. I'm a bit of a graduation cap nerd when it comes to the Danish system. I made a mock-up of the card and checked a few facts about what should be where, since I had forgotten, and my own cap is deep in boxes somewhere while I'm trying to finish up the library, which has to be de-wallpapered and refinished, painted, and I have to make all the shelves and stuff, but that's another project, not really for the screen, I think, though it could be fun if I had the right equipment for time lapses and stuff, but I don't. I digress. Back to the card. I'm making the card base here. It's a 15 by 15 centimeter card. I find that it's a good size for special occasions, since it's a bit bigger than normally. Most of the elements that are growing on the card I have made with my ScanNCut. I just have to do the finishing here at the table. This is some pattern paper I made, which is graduate of the year 2021. Then I'm going to need a black piece. And if you are Danish, you know what the different pieces are on the hat. All the educations have their own colors. For trade, it's royal blue. The one I attended was navy blue. That was the technical one. The original is red. A very deep red. Then there is a third blue, and there's a gray. The rest of the colors, these educations don't give you access to university, so therefore I have a bit of a problem with those. I get that you want to celebrate your education, and I'm not saying that it's worth any less than these, but the tradition is that if you have this hat, you can go to university. And you can't if you are, let's see, a farmer. I think the farmers have a color for this hat, and childcare professionals. There's, if I'm not mistaken, also hairdressers. And I do believe all these people have a right to celebrate their education. I just think maybe the symbol is the wrong one. But I digress. Like I said earlier, I'll try not to nerd out too much about this. Fact is that you just watch me nerd out about something. See, when I drew out the template for the hat, I actually put it the wrong way, since there are two buttons on the sides of the hat, and one has the name of the class you're in. It will be the third class or the second class, and then a letter, and the other side will have the year you finished, 2021. And I had actually drawn it wrong, so luckily I had some friends I know have their hats out on display, and they could go and take some pictures for me to nerd on this, since I want things to be right. When I got my hat, it wasn't customary to have your name on it like it is today. Today they get their names, or most people do, get their names embroidered on the outside of the hat, which of course makes it easier to find your hat if, during all the partying you leave it somewhere. Then it's easy to recognize it from the outside. There is a tradition that your friends write messages inside the hat and stuff, and that's another way you can know which one is yours, of course, but that, I guess, is a bit harder if you're blindly drunk. Then it's easier to recognize your own name on the outside. But I digress again. I'm putting the name of the recipient of the card on the hat in the same blue as I did the banner, the band on the imaginary hat, paper hat. Since this card is supposed to last for quite a while, I am making sure that I'm using the good double-sided adhesive. These are cards that people would tend to save for years to come, if they're sentimental, of course. Not everyone is. And maybe it'll be their mothers who keep the cards for them. I could have called the card finished at this point, but I actually had an idea for a focal point using vellum and some heat embossing. And I had a hard time letting go of either of the ideas, the silhouette of the hat or this circle with the text on it. So I ended up finding a solution where I could include both. had this die for years and I have been so waiting to use it. So this is a big day for me. It does have the tiniest die to make that silver or gold button. You can actually choose when you order your hat whether you want it to be gold or silver. Now, traditionally, people who have blue bands pick silver, but some people just prefer. I guess my dog thinks that we are in danger. Hold on. So, I'm still here. I did not get mugged or anything. It's just the dog, as usual. Where was I? Colors. I actually don't know if the recipient of this card will actually have silver buttons on her hat. It was a big problem for me not knowing, but the person who was going to give the card picked one for me, so I didn't have to struggle with that part. Too long, at least. And here's the symbol that is normally on the front of the hat for trade students. It's a mercury staff. Mostly people associate it with medicine, but Mercury is also the god of trade. So the piece on the hat is actually made out of metal. I'm just embossing this silver paper to look like it. Since I don't have a tool for the ScanNCut that can do that. I have a picture off to the side so I get the strokes right. This is a staff with a hat on it with wings, and then 2 snakes are coiling around it. But since the symbol is very small on the hat, it's like the outer piece of your finger kind of big, maybe 2 centimeters at most, then the details are vague, of course. And now comes the hard part, figuring out how to combine these 2 pieces that I thought of for this card. And the never-ending task of keeping mirrored cardstock clean. And the next day I had figured out what to do with this. I was going to make a brooch out of this piece here, like this, and then make an attachment for the card that you can remove. I figured it would be the best solution to getting a nice looking card and being able to put this onto the card, this brooch thing. It is a bit fiddly to put the brooch on the card, but since it's not supposed to come back on once you've given it to the recipient, it doesn't really matter. There is a handwritten message on the inside to break the piece of paper that is stuck on the card and remove it. But this was this week's card. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't bore you or babble too much. And until next time, I hope you'll be having a good day, evening, or night.